Hi, family. My name is Norman, and I'm definitely a compulsive overeater. And I weigh and measure 3 meals a day according to the Great Sheet. I commit them to my sponsor. I don't eat in between meals, no matter what. And thank God for absence. I'm truly absent today by the grace of God and the help of this wonderful fellowship, one day at a time. My abstinent date is July 21st, 1990. And when I got here, I was desperate. It was desperate for me. You know, I just want to show everybody where I was at. You know, they say that pictures are more than 1,000 words. You know, so I definitely earned my seat here. I belong, and I came from another fellowship. I came through these rooms through the Narcotics Anonymous. You know, and they talk to me. Their primary purpose is about addiction, and food just happens to be one of my drugs of choice. And I'm in the other fellowship I share. I'm a garden variety drunk, and I'll use anything to get outside of myself. And food is happening. So I was a hungry baby when I came out. You know, I ate the skin off my mother's breast, and she said, "Take that boy away from me." I was fat boy, roly-poly. He's not heavy. He's my brother. And but through sports, you know, because I was light on my feet, you know, so I participated in a lot of sports, and I was able to maintain some type of control over my weight because I always thought I had a weight problem. I never knew that I had a food problem. And what happened was that how I got into recovery. My mother died in 87, January 4th, 1987, right in front of me. And I was in grief for about a year, and then a friend extended his hand and brought me into the rooms of Narcotics Anonymous. And then as my journey in recovery continued, my health started deteriorating. I became a borderline diabetic. I had high blood pressure, and I was morbidly obese. And I had some clarity, and somebody suggested that I go to Overeaters Anonymous. And I went to Overeaters Anonymous, and they didn't define abstinence the way we do here. And I was slipping and sliding and sliding and slipping. And then I went to a group anniversary. And when I came out of the anniversary, I was trying to catch a cab, and a friend came along from the anniversary and picked me up and gave me a lift home. And we started sharing about our borderline diabetes. And he told me about GreySheet. He said, there's a program called GreySheeters Anonymous, man, and they're very serious about their program. So I looked. In New York, they had they had one meeting on the metro list of Overeaters Anonymous, and that was a meeting at St. Bartholomew's, and they met on Saturday at 10 a.m. And I said, I went off to a convention because I was active in my union when I was working. I'm a retiree now. And they had an international convention in Miami. And I said, when I come back from that convention, I'm going to go to that Grey Sheet meeting. And I remember they have a lot of receptions at these conventions. And on one side, they had all you can drink and all you can eat. And I went out on the beach and I prayed. And I said, when I get back to New York, I'm going to make that meeting. So I got back to New York and I went to that meeting. I was afraid, didn't know what to expect, but I was desperate because either, they told me in the other fellowship, they said either change or die. And I choose to live today. So, and thank God that they told me to identify and not compare. So when I got to that first meeting, I seen all these thin people in the room, and I wondered if I was in the right place. I had a guy there, he told me, he said that the weight would come off like the rain falls. And so I heard that somebody was celebrating their 90 days, and I identified so much with that speaker, and I wanted what y'all had to offer. And y'all laid the tools of the program at my feet. When I got to that first meeting, they told me that I had to get a sponsor because the Grey Sheet came with a sponsor. He told me that I had to make meetings, at least 3 meetings a week. Even though I was in another fellowship, I still had to make 3 gray sheet meetings a week. And they had a very small community there in New York. And I lived in the Northeast Bronx, and all the meetings were in Manhattan. So, they told me that I had to chase my recovery just like I chased my disease. Because when I was working, I was living in the Northeast Bronx, and I used to, my job was in East Flatbush in Brooklyn. So I had to take what we call the number 2 train. They call that the Beast from the East. It makes 1,000 stops. And they were always working on the tracks. And I remember, when I used to have a hard night, I used to take a cab to Junior's because I had to have a midnight smack to deal with the frustrations of the job, because I was a supervisor. I was supervising a group home, and I had to deal with the staff and the kids. And by the end at 12 o'clock, when we got off, man, I had to have some type of relief. So I had to stop at Junior's restaurant in Brooklyn, and then from there I would get back on the train and continue my journey to the Northeast Bronx. So that's why, they told me that I had to chase my recovery like I had to go to any lengths to get it. And I remember when I came in here, New York, they had the first roundup. I think that was 91. And I knew about the ABCs of recovery: ashtrays, brooms, and chairs, And so they told me to show up for setup and cleanup. And I showed up. I had to work through my social anxiety, I had to be with a whole group of people, that most of them I didn't know. So I had to work through that. But I got through it, and I enjoyed it. And I continue to do that because, service is a way for me to get outside of myself, And working with others is a good way to stay abstinent, And just like making meetings, and, the way and the measure will take care of the physical manifestation of disease. But the spiritual part, because this is a threefold disease, it affects me physically, spiritually, and mentally. See, today I know that whether it's 10 pounds, 1 pound, or 100 pounds, it's the same insanity that goes on in my head, because, I have a disease that tells me to shut up. Nobody don't want to hear what you got to say, So, that's why I come to meetings, because meetings, they told me that meeting makers make it, and they said it's a simple program for complicated people. That's why they told me when I came to meet, they told me that to get a seat up front, take the cotton out my ears and put it in my mouth and learn to listen and listen to learn. That's an art, because I don't know a damn thing about how to stay abstinent. I knew how to eat, but I didn't know how to stay abstinent. I could stop, but I could never stay stopped, So, because the food, this is a whole different animal. It ain't like drugs and alcohol, because you don't need drugs and alcohol to live, but you need food to live. And you have to mess with my disease 3 times a day, And I don't eat in between meals, no matter what, no matter who, no matter how I feel, because this disease wants me back. It's a disease that tells me I don't have a disease. So that's why I keep coming here, because I need this program today more than I needed it when I got here. Almost, it's been 31 years, almost 7 months and a couple of days. But it's a 1 day at a time program, because you get caught up in the years, you forget about the day. Because it's a 1 day at a time program. They told me to keep coming back. Keep coming. That's what they told me. When I came into my first meeting, they gave me that hug and they told me, we need you, So, like they drafted me, you know what I'm saying? So I gotta keep coming here. This program works, because, and they told me about life on life's terms. Things are going to happen just because I got absent. That life is not going to stop. I'm responsible. Sometimes I'm not responsible for what happened, but I'm responsible how I act. How I respond to situations that happen in my life. Whether there's a death in the family, whether I didn't get that promotion that I was supposed to get, because that we have these. In the third step prayer, it says. It says, God, I offer myself to you to build with me and to do with me as you will. Relieve me of the bondage of self. Bondage of self, that I may better do your will. Take away my difficulties, that victory over them may bear witness to those I will help of your power, your love, and your way of life. May I do your will always. Amen. That self-centered fear. Either I'm going to lose something or I'm not going to get something, And then, this 7-step prayer, because, I was a 2-stepper for a long time. I did the first step and part of the 12th step. And they told me that the answers were in the steps because this is a spiritual program, I'm sick, but we get better, because the circus, the gorilla's off my back, but the circus is still in town, so I got to keep coming. That's right. My pride. Please remember I deserve everything, And then there's, I got married in recovery. I call relationships the Super Bowl of recovery, and this pandemic really showed that I got to work on my side of the street, especially when staying in place. When you're working and, she worked the first shift and I worked the second shift. Now we're together 24/7. So, I really got to work the program, I really got to work that program, so I'm grateful for this program because it's given me a life beyond my wildest dreams. I can do it under all conditions. I can travel. I can, because y'all gave me the hope, and y'all brought that higher power, so, I keep coming. It's a one day at a time program. The second part of the Serenity Prayer is living one day at a time, enjoying one moment at a time, accepting hardship as the pathway to peace, taking as he did this sinful world as it is, not as I would have it, trusting that he will make all things right if I surrender to his will, that I'll be reasonably happy in this life and supremely happy with him forever in the next. Thank you for letting me share. My name is Norman. I'm still a compulsive overeater